This is Nitya from Sri Shanmuga College of Engineering and Technology from the Department of Information Technology. In this video today we are going to see full stack, Express and Angular JS. Introduction to Express.js. Express.js is a fast, unopinionated and minimalist web framework for Node.js. What is Express.js? It is a standard web framework for Node.js. It acts as a layer built on top of the built-in Node.js HTTP module, making it much easier to manage servers and routes. So we have already seen what is Mount Stack and Mean Stack. In Mount Stack, we have MongoDB, Express, and React Node. In Mean, we have MongoDB, Express. In Mean Stack, we use the technologies are MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node. In previous videos, we have already seen the core differences between the Mount Stack and Mean Stack. Um, so, Express plays comes in both the stacks. So it is very important to understand this Express.js. Express.js basically comes with the Node.js for the server side connections and all. We use Express.js along with Node.js, which makes the server side connection faster. The key capabilities of Express.js are robust routing, which basically defines the endpoints for your applications and maps them to the required specific functions. And it provides Express.js provides middleware supports, which allows you to plug in the functions that run during the request response cycle. Example, for logging in, authentication, and for parsing JSON objects. The next key feature is template engines. It provides basically the template engines for to be readily used to render dynamic HTML on the server. The next main key feature or the advantage of Express.js is high performance, because it provides a high performance because it is lightweight. It retains the asynchronous non-blocking performance of Node.js. So, we, what is why you use Express.js along with Node.js? How it benefits uh, an application to run faster? If you run an application, if you develop an application only with Node.js, what it will do, and if you develop an applications Node.js along with Express.js, what it will do? The first feature is code verbosity. So basically you have to write so many lines of codes in if you use a plain Node.js. So whereas if you use an Express.js, it will be very less number of lines of codes which are clean and which are very readable. Next, routing. In routing, plain Node.js, they are all manual, whereas in Express.js it will be very more simpler using the methods called app.get and app.post. Then JSON handling, it requires plain Node.js requires manual data buffering, but with Express.js it will be handled by one line of middleware. Next, maintenance. With in a plain JS, as your application grows, it will be very difficult to maintain. Whereas with Node.js, they provide the modularization, and which will be easier to organize. So this is how you will be setting up the Express.js. you need to install express module using the command npm space install space express, and then you will be creating an object using the require method. um, then you will be listening the server on the local port number, then configuring routes and middleware in express.js. Route definition: what is called a route? Routing is nothing but it determines how an application's response to a client request on a particular URL endpoint. So route parameters are um, using dynamic segments like a slash users. So parameters are nothing but whatever the parameters you will be passing the URL address. Next, router object, you have to create a router object with the express model using express.router, and which modelize the routes into separate files for a better organization. So these are some of the methods which we'll be using in routing, like get, post, put and delete. Get basically retrieves the data, post submits the data, put update the existing data, delete remove the data. Next, so that is all about Express.js. Next we will be seeing the AngularJS. Introduction to Angular. This is a modern platform for scalable web applications. What is Angular? Angular is a comprehensive TypeScript based development framework for building single page application, which is developed and maintained by Google. It provides a standard way to build sophisticated web interfaces. It is opinionated, meaning it provides a specific set of tools and architectural patterns to ensure consistency along large teams. So basically, the basic difference between mean and MERN stack is in mean we use AngularJS for front end and React for in MERN we use React for front end. So Angular is a front end technology basically. For whatever the organizations which are very standardized organizations, so they use Angular JS as the front end. And next, the key pillars of Angular are this is a component based architecture. That is what is very structured, very standardized architecture maintains. Every UI element is a self contained component. Starts from HTML, CSS, and TypeScript. TypeScript brings static typing classes and advanced IDE support to JavaScript development. Next, dependency injection. Dependency injection is a design pattern where a class requests dependencies from external resources um, rather than creating them on their own, which makes the code highly modular and testable. So, dependency injection is the class requests dependencies from external sources rather than creating by themselves or from within. So it gets the dependencies from outside. Why we need to choose Angular? This is all-in-one framework which includes routing, forms, HTTP client, and there is no need of any third-party libraries. Then this is a CRAS platform, which is some very major advantages of using AngularJS, which you can build for any web mobile applications. So you can use the same thing for mobile, desktop, and web applications. So declarative, there are declarative templates which uses clean HTML syntax to define the UI logic. Testing built from the ground up to be testable with tools like Jasmine and Karma. So this is highly, whatever the web applications you are developing using AngularJS are easily testable. The building blocks of AngularJS. First thing is, I have already seen. The first thing is the components. Every Angular app is a tree of components. A single component consists of a HTML template, CSS styles, TypeScript class. HTML template basically gives you structure, CSS styles gives you the look and feel, TypeScript class basically is responsible for whatever the business logic that you will be handling in the web application. Next, expressions, whatever you will be using inside a double curly braces are called the expressions, which are dynamic. Template logic expressions can perform simple math or string concurrently but cannot perform complex logics like assignments. Next, some building directives. Directives are basically or the markers on any DOM elements that the landlord to attach a behavior to it. DOM elements are basically whatever the elements HTML elements you use. Uh, First in structural directives, this structural means that will change the layout of any HTML. Some directives are ng for. Of course, these are all loops through a list. Ng switches between multiple views based on your condition. Next is about behavioral directives. Ng class, which dynamically adds or removes CSS class, which will be needed for any HTML pages. Next, ng style dynamically sets inline styles needed for that. Inline styles means we'll be providing the styles within the HTML page rather than having an external CSS files. Thank you. That's all about the Angular JS and the Express JS. Thank you.